All right, so in today's webinar, we're going to be covering memberships. So we're going to start with configuration, as always. So we're going to start with the creation of what we call membership benefits, membership forms, a couple of general membership settings, and then create membership levels, i.e. the memberships types, if you want to call them that, themselves. And we'll go through all the various options available for those membership types. And that'll actually take up the bulk, probably about half the webinar today. And then from there, we'll go into adding memberships to a contact record, renewing memberships, and a couple of functions and features in that regard. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to start by going to configurations from the main menu. And on the configurations page, our membership section is down here at the bottom. So we're going to start with benefits and kind of move our way around in here. So let's talk actually, before we get started, a little bit about the difference between a membership and a donation, because this actually comes up quite frequently. Um, Sometimes organizations treat memberships and donations almost synonymously in some very interesting ways. And so I do like to throw out to the crowd that nonprofit Fundly CRM does not do that. For us, a gift, donation, and a membership are very distinct, separate things tracked separately. So in short, um, a donation is usually a one-time gift, though sometimes it can be repeating, where the donor doesn't necessarily get anything for their gift. They may sometimes get a one-time kind of a thank you. We call them premiums. As a result, you give me $100 and I give you a CD or something like that. If you ever watch the old pledge drives on public television, so that's a gift. It's usually a one-time, possibly recurring gift, with maybe not usually any benefit returned for it, but occasionally a thank you gift will be given, but it's usually a one-time thing. On the flip side, a membership is usually repeating, as in the person has to pay multiple times over time, though sometimes it's a one-time payment, but the benefit they get exists and is ongoing as long as they keep paying that fee or that amount, that registration fee. Um, so an example most people understand, most people know of is uh, health clubs, gyms. You pay a certain amount of money on a regular basis, monthly or annually, and as long as you keep up on those dues, those fees, you will get access to those benefits, access to the facilities. So with memberships, what you do get something normally for it, and that what you get is contingent upon you paying, and is usually ongoing as long as you keep paying. So it could be access to facilities, could be discounts on events or merchandise. It could be, more intangible things such as getting access to a directory of sorts, or things of that, or being placed into a directory. Or it could sometimes be more tangible things like T-shirts. So just wanted to give that kind of crowbar of separation between the two, and kind of have that under our belts as we go forward. So with that in mind, excuse me, we're going to actually start off by talking about benefits, because that's one of the core features of memberships. So actually what we do in the benefits configuration is we're kind of thinking ahead to the memberships that we're going to create, our membership levels. And we're going to list out all the possible benefits that all of our memberships could generate. So it's not necessarily the benefits for a given membership, but all of them together. So these could be things like acknowledgments, certificates, free admissions to an art gallery, a keychain, a hat, a plaque, a mug, t-shirts, tickets, tote bags, things of that, things like that. So free admission to an art gallery, that's a very common one for arts organizations. So, or it could be kind of a flip side. You have access to an online directory or website for maybe an organization that works with other organizations or has some sort of clientele. For example, if your members gain access to a volunteering website, that would be a benefit, as an example. So, since I know both of our clients here today are those are pertinent for them, I wanted to mention those examples. But it could be, any ongoing benefit. So when we create a benefit, so that we can use it later when we create our memberships, we will go to Add Benefit, and we will fill out the details. So the benefit name, well, that is what is the benefit. It's a hat, it's a mug, it's a certificate, it's access to a facility, access to a directory, something of that nature. Fair market value, normally used for physical things like t-shirts and mugs, but could be, if you're getting discounts on something or access to something that it would normally be paid for. It's basically, if you were to pay for this directly, what is it worth? So if our benefit is a t-shirt, what is that? What would you have normally paid for that t-shirt instead of getting it for free? Description. Well, what is it? Description for reference, and then an image. So if it was with a hat or a mug or something, a picture of the hat or the mug. Or if it was access to the facility, you might put a picture of your facility just as a reference. It's up to you. Benefit is, as you may notice, the only actually required of these fields up here. And then benefit type. What is it? So general. This is for more more esoteric, nebulous. I don't want to use esoteric. More nebulous things. Not necessarily a finite item or a ticket, but something like acknowledgement, access to facilities. So nothing tangible. That was what I was looking for. So it's not necessarily a tangible benefit. Something more intangible. So access to facilities, access to a website, free admittance to an art gallery, and so forth. Fixed quantity is for tangibles, physical items, t-shirts, mugs. We give you some examples here. Things of that nature. A CD. If you're a music organization and maybe a choir, and so if you renew your membership with the choir, not only maybe you're getting access as a general to the events for free, maybe you're getting that semester's, that season's CD of music, as an example. And then we have event ticket. So this is how you can give discounts or even free tickets, specifically free tickets, for your member. So all events, selected events. So this means that for your free tickets, which we'll specify later, are only for certain events. So maybe it only qualifies for the exhibition, like an exhibition opening, although those are usually free, or certain workshops, and you could select them. Okay, so that's all those. So that's going to cover most of your bases. Sometimes you will need to ask a question or two about the premium that they're getting. Excuse me, benefit, not premium, that's donations. So for our fixed quantity, maybe we need to know the t-shirt size and the color. So here we could put t-shirt size, here we could put color, and then our options for both, and whether or not it's mandatory. And this will actually come into play for online registration for forms and things like that. So t-shirt size options, small, medium, large. Colors, black, green, and white, because those are good colors. And then save and add new. Just keep adding benefits as you will need them later on. All benefits that you would possibly need to list. Any questions about creating benefits? Cool. So let's move on from benefits onto membership forms. So these membership forms can really be kind of considered kind of base template forms. We're actually going to be able to select these forms later and override them per membership. So if you have maybe one membership form for individuals and one for organizations, and then variants on those base forms for individual types of memberships, you can create them here. They're very simple to create. Add form for individual, add form for organization. Let's go ahead and just click on add form for individual. If you're familiar with the event registration form configuration for events, same mechanic. Give it a name. Well, in that case, it's a little different because we give it a name. And then select the fields you want to add. So it's going to yell at me because I need a name, but whatever. So name, or for organizations, the name of the organization helps when you actually click on it. There we go. Name, any other fields. Custom fields, these are logged against the registration form, not the person's permanent record. But then we also have custom data sets. So conversation from a different day, but data set is basically a collection of questions or fields you want to track information for. And then you can put the actual fields within it. So for a custom data set to be available in a membership, it needs to not be assigned to any given contact type. So that's, that details for a different webinar, but here's an example of a selection of custom data sets that are currently set as general data sets, not transactional, and are not connected to a specific contact type. So there they are. This, for example, for maybe an arts organization, which my demo account is based on, kind of as an example, might ask if we had an artist membership that's specifically for artists. We may have a custom data set for art information asking, what mediums do they work with? What is their primary medium? What is the general price range for a piece of art for them? Things like that, so that you could get that information from the member as they register, and then they can update it each time they renew or you renew them. So any questions about creating membership forms, these kind of base template forms? Okay, cool. So those are two pieces we're going to need for creating our membership levels. We're going to break away from that path for a moment, and we're just going to touch on this membership configurations option here. This is more of kind of a settings piece. Will give us, we're going to need to talk about it first, but let's take a look at it quickly. There's not too much here, but what this basically is covering is how we handle membership numbers. That's the primary purpose of this page. So the system can, if you want, assign membership numbers, or you can auto-generate them. Other way around. No, I said that right. The system can assign it, or you can manually assign them. That's what I meant to say. So if you're an organization that doesn't work with membership numbers, just set it to auto-populate them and save and move on. You don't need to worry about it from there. If you do work with membership numbers, then you're probably going to either want to have them auto-generated for you, or you might be manually assigning them. I honestly don't see manual assignment too often. Most organizations would rather the system handle that for you. So this is probably what I would recommend most organizations use, but it's up to you. Some people have very custom numbering systems that cannot be automated with this system. So let's talk about the system. First off, what number do you start with? Going to default to 1. Some organizations rather start higher up, or maybe you've migrated from another system, so we migrated those numbers in for you, and so you want to pick up where you left off on your old system. The system tries its best to figure out where your last number was and pick up from there, but it probably would be best practice to pick up where you left off, but just one higher. So if you left off at 100, go to 101. So here, my system starts with number 1, and we're currently on 83. You can, if you want, have the system add what's called a string, basically numbers or characters before or after the number. So I could add the acronym for my organization, Monte Cristo Arts Center, and this would be added to the beginning of all of my my membership numbers. So there'd be MCA C1, MCA C2, MCA C3, and that's what the person would use, or you'd search for, or what have you. I'm not going to use that here, but it's available. Okay, so normally what happens is someone gets a membership, they get the membership number, that membership number lives with them forever. So as long as you don't accidentally add a brand new membership instead of renewing, they will never have more than but the one number. However, some organizations do work differently than that. And we'll talk about renewals and how that works and some definitions there later on. But basically, over here we have under what conditions would a new membership number be assigned. So generate a new membership number on a renewal. So that means basically, it's the same membership, but this is my 2016 renewal, 2017 renewal, and each time I'll get a new number. Not very often. Upgrade or downgrade of the membership level. So if I go from individual to family, that is an upgrade, technically speaking. You'd probably call it an upgrade because I'm going from maybe paying $100 to paying $250 for the year, but it goes to my spouse and my children, and then I get a new number. Up to you. I do see that occasionally. And then on pricing category changes. So we'll talk about what those are in a minute, but effectively if I'm an individual membership, I'm renewing to individual, but I'm going from the student price to the adult price because maybe I graduated from high school or college. And do I get a new number from that? It's once again up to you. So don't see these two used too often, but I'd like to make you aware of them. And then lastly, what do we do with unused money? So if I go, let's say from a $250 membership to a $100 membership, but I change it halfway through my membership. So, well, let me simplify my math a little bit. A $200 membership to a $100 membership, and I renewed halfway through that membership and changed from the family to the individual. Maybe I got separated. Um, so basically, we have $100 of the membership that didn't get used. You know, we only got 6 months in. That's $100 of 200 used. What do we do with the remaining 100? So if we apply that unused portion to the new membership, effectively you're going to, get a free individual membership for for 6 months plus another 6 month period. It's kind of a weird example. Or if another example is I go from a $100 membership to that $200 membership halfway through, and I've only used $50 of that 100 effectively. Will that $50 that remains be applied to the 200 so I only pay 150? It's totally up to you what you do here. Some organizations like to basically kind of, I'm not going to say gift because they've already paid it, but basically grant that money back and apply it. I actually recommend this option. I think it's probably the friendliest for your members, and they probably would appreciate it, but it's entirely up to you. Any questions about the settings on this page? Okay, groovy. We're done here. So now we get to talk, oops, leave page, yes, about the membership levels themselves. And this is going to be actually probably the most important, probably even the bulkiest part of this membership webinar. So here we have our various membership levels. So what is the difference between one level and another? The difference is the benefits received. So let's run through an example, and then we'll actually build up some stuff. Actually, we're going to do mostly editing here. Let's say we have a membership called Individual, and we have two prices. One if you're a student, and one if you're an adult. We used this example once before. Are they two different membership levels, or are they two different pricing categories within the membership? So the question is, what do they get? Does a student and an adult get the same thing, with the only difference being the price they pay, which is determined by if they're a student or not? If the answer is yes, they both get access to facility. They both get access to free events. They both get a name added to a directory. Then it is the same membership level or type, just different pricing categories. But if students get additional benefits as students, so being a student, you will get not just access to facilities and free events, you also get a discount on classes that an adult normally doesn't get, then that is a different level. Benefits are different. They offer different things. So they wouldn't just be pricing categories of the same, they would be separate. So you'd have student artist and maybe just artist as your membership levels. So just as an example. Another example, if let's do this on an organizational level. So let's say your memberships are actually for organizations, maybe companies or other nonprofits that work with you similarly. So if you have that all your members, your organizations get the same benefit. They get access to your facilities, to a website directory, to other services, and it's the same for everybody. But there are different prices for the budget levels that they have. That would be an example, since they all get the same benefit, of a single membership type with different pricing categories based on, say, their budget. So that's another example. So let's run through the flow of creating a membership. So what I'm actually going to do here is, what we're going to do is just point out that to add the membership level, you go to Add, but I'm going to go ahead and edit some that I have existing because I have a fair number already extant within the system. So let's run with this artist since I've been using that example. So I'm going to go ahead and edit it. And we're going to run through the settings. Now there's a couple different options. We're going to kind of run through a few different ones because there's different flows. So first off, is this a group membership or is it a single membership? So group membership would be for things like your family membership or a corporate or organizational membership that extends to the employees. So if I buy a membership that extends to my children and my spouse, then that's a family or group membership. If it's only for me, it's single. Then we have, is it for individuals or organizations? We just kind of, that's pretty self-evident. Is it for an individual, which is myself, or is it for an organization like a company or a nonprofit? So depending on the type of organization you may or may not use one or the other. And membership can't be both. So if you do have a membership that basically is the same benefits, but one's for individuals and one's for a company, they're still separate memberships because one's for individuals and one's for organizations. So let's run through a single membership, and then we'll kind of tinker with a group which has a few differences, but mostly similar. So is it active? Is it inactive? Well, obviously, if we're making a new one, it's probably active. What is its name? Artist. Individual versus org, we talked about that. Validity, i.e. how long does it last? So if I can pay $1,000 and get a lifetime membership to this art organization and always for the rest of my life until I die, get access to facilities, that's, well, lifetime. But if it only lasts for 3 months, 6 months, a year, and then I have to renew, well, then that's, time specific for however many months. This membership appears to be time specific by month. It's 3 months, kind of a short one, but that's what we have here. Most common membership types I see are 1 month or annual. It is not possible to make this one membership type that you can choose between those two. That would actually still be two membership because your benefits are different. The time period you get is time, you can call that a benefit, and they're different membership levels. So you may have an artist monthly and an artist annual. Those would be two different membership levels. So that's time specific. Renewal conditions. These get a little tricky. The cool thing is we've got this little shortcut here. Well, not little, but this kind of essay, as you could call it, which will go through examples. It's how I learned what does what. Let's run through the basics of it. So if I run with NA, let me get my notes here. There it is. Run with NA. What that means is if I sign up today, July 7th, 2016, let's pretend this is a yearly membership because that'll make our math a little easier. If this is let's say it's an annual membership, 12 months. If I sign up today, July 7th, 2016, my next renewal will be July 7th, 2017, putting my end date as July 6th because it's the day before your renewal date. So that's NA, very common one to use. You don't have to deal with any differences in time or any of that. But there's some other options. There is, for example, beginning of month. What that would say is that I always renew, no matter when I started, on the first of a month. So, for example, July 1st would be my renewal date. Or it might push forward and have me renewing on June, July, August 1st. You'd think I'd know that. It's my birthday's in that month. So whether or not we fall back or push forward to the next month. We also have quarter, year, and other. Other have been used with other organizations that work on school years or a financial fiscal year, for example. I don't see yearly too often, but some organizations have used that, in which case you have months worth of fallback or leap forward, which can get confusing. Most common is NA or by month. So that then brings the question, well, do we jump forward or do we fall back? And then what do we do about the difference in money? So we have prorating, grace period, and then none, which means there's no financial difference. So prorated, I got little notes here, and you'll find this in here, will bring us to the beginning of the month, which basically brings us to the end of the previous, would be your renewal. So what that would actually do is if I signed up today, 7/7/2016, I would renew on 7/1/2017. So basically I fall back and get prorated for 6 days. What grace period does is it actually pushes you forward to the end of the current month. So that would actually have me renewing on August 1st, and I'd effectively get free time. And then none, I forget what that one actually does offhand. I think that just falls you back, but with no proration. So it's up to you which one you want to use. Going to be based on your procedures and operations. Some organizations find that having everybody renewing at the beginning of the month is easier operationally. Others don't want to deal with the complexity of proration and grace periods and the pricing differences, and so they just leave it NA. Those are the two common ones. It's up to you which one you like. So gonna put that aside for now. Like I said, this little essay here will give you lots of examples and help you figure out which one you want. And then member will renew on the original renewal date if they renew within. So what that means, it's kind of a weird one. Let's say we went with NA, because that's my preference personally. My renewal date is going to be January 7th, July, well, not January, July 7th, 2017. How much time do I have to renew after that point? And my renewal will still have been considered on time, I guess you could say, and will actually be on July 7th with no gap. So that's what this option does. So I could put a 5-day grace period, which means I have up until, let's see, 7 plus 5 is 12. So I have until the 12th to renew and still have it considered the 7th being my start period as if I had no gap. Not that big a deal, unless of course, that there was some benefit they may have lost out on in that time period. It's up to you. And there's a question. Make a membership level inactive. Okay, so there is a question about online renewals. I'm not quite sure we're not really gonna talk too much about the online process in this webinar, especially since I think you all are using plugins at this time. So let's come back to that one. It's still a good question, Lawrence. And that might be more of a question for the implementation team. I'm not as up on the actual website process for plugins. So let's set aside that question. If we have time, we'll make a little time one-on-one to talk about your website and the renewal flow. But basically the question was, how easy is it for a member to renew online? So since it is more of an online question, we'll address it outside the webinar at the very end. So still a good question. Wanted to put it out there because there are options for online options for membership, both renewal and upgrade, downgrade. So we'll talk about that. And there may be a feature request maybe we can put in for that if it's not already present to make that nice and easy. Okay, so let's keep moving. So the next couple of options are not used too often, but these are part of the financial webinar, so we're not going to really talk too much about it. Chart of accounts, so any money that comes to this membership type would go to this chart of accounts. Any money that went to this type of membership level would get assigned to this class, program, or campaign. Program, sometimes used, account, very often used if you're doing the financials module, campaign, very infrequently used. So not too much to be done there. We have an option for online where a member can sign up but have to be approved by you, i.e. vetted by you before they're actually considered a member. So this would allow an organization, an artist, or what have you to sign up online but not be considered a member until you said, yeah, they meet the qualifications for what they applied for. So that's what this setting does. We'll see where those pending memberships go a little later on. And then description, well, what is this membership in words, maybe in words what the benefits might be, although those will be displayed online too. And this is basically your content that would get pushed to your public portal, your public pages, your More Web integration, which is coming soon, or your WordPress plugins. So any questions about this page? Okay, so let's move forward. I took a little longer than I meant to on that one. Pricing settings. These are the pricing categories that I talked about earlier. Normally, a lot of organizations have one membership with one price. But like I said, if different people would pay different prices based on some sort of criteria, they're a student, there's different budget levels for an organization, so on and so forth. This is where we can create those pricing categories. So add pricing level, give it a name, the membership price, the renewal price, if different, not often different, and the base tax deductibility. We're going to talk more about tax deductibility later. And then, do we allow new memberships? Do we allow renewals? Is this level put online? So we could phase out a level, but still allow back-end renewals but not show it on the website, or various other combinations. So we could say we're going to phase out this membership, although anybody who currently has it, we're going to let them keep going with it. They're grandfathered in, so we can disable new memberships but allow renewals for a time period. And this kind of answers Lawrence's question. If we have it completely disabled, then they would go into the profile, which there's various ways to make that easier display-wise, and they would do a change renew, and they'd select their new level. So I'm not sure how different that is from the plugins you used previously, but we can, like I said, address that on our own. If you have multi-currency support enabled, which is not quite yet, but I'm recording it for our purposes today, enabled, which is a feature that's coming within the month or so, you would actually be able to set different prices here as well. So I could have different pricing levels for different countries. So I could have a USD price, I could have a Canadian price if your organization spans multiple countries. So just wanted to throw that out there so people are aware of it. We're not at this time in this system having that implemented, but this is where you could, if you're using Stripe, which is the only gateway currently supporting international payments, had Stripe as your payment gateway processor and the multi-currency payment support and all the various bank account setups done on that end enabled, you would be able to set different prices for different membership for different currencies. So any questions about, oh, I'm gonna skip something very important. So occasionally your price will change for a given membership level or pricing category. When that happens, what you can do is you can basically set a schedule. So set new pricing here basically says, right, there's our current price, and then starting on some date, the membership price will be this. And that means on that date, the price will switch over to the new price, and going forward, that is the sign up or renew price. So instead of creating a new membership or a new membership level, you're just going to update, set a payment schedule, as it were, a fee schedule, I think is the term, for that membership level. And you can do it by category. So any questions about pricing categories? Okay, so our next is the benefit settings. This is very simple. First off, we're going to find out later we can gift memberships. I could buy a membership for Terry. I paid for it, but it's her membership. And in which case, who gets the benefits? Me or Terry? Well, normally it's going to be the primary member, i.e. the person gifted. But occasionally it goes to the giftor. This can be overridden per membership. And then what are our benefits? And this is where we pull from what we configured under benefits: t-shirt, tickets, mug, and how many. So I get 2 t-shirts, 2 tickets, and 2 mugs. And the system will track these, which I think we have time for today. The system will track these. And we can say if they were or were not fulfilled, and the system will actually handle your tickets entirely automatically. So, any questions about assigning benefits? Just select it, hit add. Forgot to actually say that. Okay, groovy. Notifications. So, these are the notices that go out for this membership level type, depending on what you want to call it. And so we can do this per membership level. Some memberships could have notifications go out at different times, what have you. They all share the same templates. So artist and organization do share the same template, but you can have them sent out at different times or not at all. So basically, here's our first email reminder, second, on the date that they should renew, if they're late, if they're still late, and we don't do anything after that point. If we have auto payment set up for memberships, did it succeed? Did it fail? And these are the templates that go out. These templates, standard email templates. We have placeholders, so kind of genericize it. Just a friendly remember your membership is due to renew soon. Make it look better than mine. Here's your name, the date of the renewal. We also have placeholders for the cost, the level, so on and so forth, and their formal and informal salutation, which I recommend using over contact name. And so just set those up. When do they go out? And who gets them. So you could have it just go to the admin saying, hey, this membership's coming up. You might want to bother them personally. Or you can actually have it sent to them or both. Or you can uncheck both and not have it sent at all. There's another concept. Once they've lapsed, once they've gone inactive, once that membership has come to an end, there's a concept in version 2 CRM, friendly CRM, of lapsed versus simply inactive. So let's talk about the difference between those because it can be a little confusing. There is an active membership. The membership, we are still within the date range between its start and its end. It is completely active, and it's currently active, and has all the benefits. Come the end date, if they have not renewed it, they become an inactive member or an X member. So they now have the X member contact type instead of the member contact type. So most people operate that way. And at that point, if they, even no matter at what point they renew in the future, that membership chain will simply pick up where it left off. Well, not where it left off, but there'll be a gap, but it'll basically pick up, continue on, and they have the same membership chain, the same membership number. It's the same membership. However, some organizations run with the concept of lapsing the membership, i.e. ending it. And what that basically does is it says, okay, X many days, basically when the notice goes out, the membership comes to a complete end. So it's not inactive, it is lapsed and over. So if they they can't renew that membership anymore. What they'd have to do is start a brand new membership chain. And we'll talk about the concept of chains, membership chains in a little bit. So don't see lapsed used too often, but basically it's an inactive member who can no longer renew a membership chain. They'd actually have to start a new one. So Lawrence had a question, can templates be more customized like we do with e-newsletters? So can they be customized? So they use a different editor. They use a more simple editor. It's basically what we see here. So you can't make a template like you would for a newsletter. It's just this basic email template that we have here. So I guess the answer to that one is no. We don't have the drag and drop widgets like we do with newsletter and donation acknowledgement, but we do have all the functionality that you see here, links, images, you can put tables in there and kind of move things around that way, and so on and so forth. So it's basically like a newsletter template in that you have the text area in the editor, but you can't put additional widgets in for different things. So not quite as extensible as the newsletter template editor or the donation acknowledgement template editor, but it should give you all the formatting and basic functionality that you'd need for your letter. And then if there's ever something that you need to do that you can't quite figure out how to do, you can always email support@fundly.com and we can go through it with you and see how we can get there, or put in a feature request as needed. So good question. Thank you, Lawrence. Make sure I didn't miss any other ones. Nope. Okay, cool. So anything else with notifications?
Yes, I have one. Okay. When you look at this, both of those two on the right say change to lapse. Is one not supposed to be changed to inactive?
It's gonna, so when the excuse me?
I'm confused.
Gotcha. So by default, when the end date of a membership is reached and no renewal put in, the system will automatically set you to inactive, which really just means that they've lapsed and not renewed. It has no real, it does have a kind of functional difference in that they've lapsed, gone to inactive. That's why they are obviously confusing. Lapsed actually has some other meanings to it. And like I said, not many organizations use lapsed. Most just let it slip to inactive and then they can be renewed from there. So inactive is automatic. It's exactly, you want it to go to inactive to let you know that this person is no longer paying us, but you probably do want them to be able to renew with you. Lapsed is a bit more, the word I want is stern, strict implementation of inactive memberships, in that you're not just letting them slip into an inactive state, you've actually terminated their membership. It is over. Okay. They cannot renew it. They have to start fresh. So
if you don't change status to lapse on those two on the right, they will always stay in inactive in all circumstances.
Unless they renew.
Correct. Okay. But if you say change to lapse, at that point they have to quote unquote reapply. Like if it was a gym membership that charges you $50 to reapply.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So that's actually an example. So if there was like a one-time startup, that's an example. We saw that with our pricing categories, that you can set different prices for when you sign up for the first time versus your renewals. So that might be a case where you use this. If you've lapsed for more than, say, 15 days or 90 days, whatever you want to do, you'd have to repay that higher startup fee. That might be where you'd use the lapse option. Actually, that's a good example. I haven't seen it yet, but it is an example. So thank you for that. I was looking for one. See, we have another.
I now understand it. Thank you.
Awesome. Nope, that's what we're here for. So, one more question. Let's see here. Can you send yourself a test reminder? You know, at the moment you can't. While we're here, Terry, can you please make a note for me to put a feature request for this page, to put in an option to send test emails for each of these? And I think that would be, or at least to look into it, because I don't believe it's there currently. So good question. Is there ability to test these before they go into play? Currently not. We're going to go ahead and put a feature request in for that. So if you're viewing this in the future, since I'm recording this, that feature may be present at this time, at the time you're viewing this, but isn't currently. Good question. Thank you. Any other question? Okay, cool. So I'm going to keep moving. Let's move from notifications to the very last step of configure form. So we talked about this earlier. We can pull up one of our forms, basically a base template form, or even create a new form from here, pull it up, load it in, and modify it. So we can pull in a base form and then add more to it that's specific to our membership type. And this works exactly the same way as we covered before. It just lets me customize it per level. Any questions on that? Cool. So let's look at one more piece, group memberships. Let me see, I should have one here. Group memberships for an individual, so family membership here. And the real difference here is our pricing settings, in that this membership is not just for one person, so not just the primary contact, it's going to extend to others, and then you specify who it extends to. And really what we do here is we say how many adults, in addition to the primary, how many children is this going to extend to. So, we have family plus one, so that's 2 adults. Actually, that should be 1, well, it could be 2. It could be the 2 spouses and maybe a grandparent, and then up to 3 children. And then we have, oh yeah, so here it is, family is, primary member, their spouse, and up to 3 children. So that's an example of a group and a family membership. Let's now look at a more kind of corporate-y example. Let's see, I need an organization. Do I not have one? Here he is, organization single, organization group. So school membership. So this would, let's run with that one. So with group memberships for organizations, you can either have it extend to every employee, or an employee being specified by the work information or the employee information in the organization's record, or to a specific number of employees, in which case you have to specify which employees it goes to. So depending on how your organizations work, you may or may not use this option, but I wanted to make sure you knew about it. So all employees, just anybody listed as an employee in the organization's record, or specific numbers. Okay. Any questions about those group options?
Eric, I do have one question about that screen.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between all employees and if you leave the number blank where it says for unlimited?
Gotcha. This is kind of a subtle difference. All employees would be automatically to all employees, but unlimited would still require that you manually assign which employees, but there'd be no limit to how many employees. So still, they are very similar. I'm not sure why you would leave it unlimited, not just do all employees, but maybe the organization has chosen not to extend it to all employees. Wait, excuse me. Maybe, I don't know. In most cases, if you're going to leave unlimited, you're probably going to go with the automated all, but there could be a case when you didn't. We gave you the option to go either way. I'm not quite sure when you do the unlimited and not just the all, but it basically is a manual assignment instead of an automatic assignment. So, it's a good question though. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay, so we've built our memberships. We have our benefits created. We've made our forms. We did our configurations for membership numbers. We actually made the levels. They're all existent here. and we can edit them. We can delete them if they're not in use. See, do I have any not in use I can clear out? Nope, none that oh wait, no, there was one. So this one here, because I don't like anything called test, I should be able to delete it. I was. It's general membership, so we can delete memberships that aren't in use. I'm going to take this opportunity to do that. Okay, if need be, and we get kind of a statistic, active versus total here. So how do we actually work with our memberships? So as a reminder, all transactions in the system create an invoice. So in the end, we're going to create an invoice and add a registration or renewal to it. But this is, so we can do it from create invoice and that process there. But there's a screen I like called Manage Membership. And so this is a good screen for kind of seeing what are your memberships in play right now, so that you don't accidentally add a membership when you should have renewed. And that's a very common issue to come up, because that will make it look like they have two memberships in, say, a report as opposed to one membership. So I guess this is as good a time as any to talk a little bit about active versus inactive. We talked a little bit about that, and membership chains, what I call membership chains. So an active membership is one that is in play. They are getting the benefits. They're still within the time period that they've paid for. Inactive is a membership that, as we discussed, they have not, the payment has now, they're outside of the payment period, the period they paid for, and they need to renew, but haven't. And then lapsed is they're outside of the payment period, and we don't let them renew. They have to start fresh. And then we also have pending and rejected. We talked about these earlier. You can have someone sign up online, and you will need to approve or reject them. And then here's our list of those we have rejected so that we can review them and have them for reference. Currently, there's not a way to unreject, so be very careful. So that's kind of our statuses. But let's talk about how these kind of come into play in chains. So memberships aren't kind of standalone each renewal. They actually come together into what I call a chain. So when I apply for a membership, I get a membership for, say, a year. I renew it. So what I'm actually doing is I'm in a way extending that membership for another year. So I've created a chain with two links in it. I have the original registration and I have a renew. And as I continue renewing, I'm just adding links to that end of that membership chain, and thus how that membership chain has a life. It starts at some point and it has an end at some point in the future. And that's going to show up in reports. You can both report on the chain as a whole and see the most recent link in it, or you can look at the individual transactions, membership transactions, which would look at the individual links. And so it's important to maintain those chains properly. So as mentioned, a common mistake, issue that arises is instead of renewing someone's membership as you'd want to and continuing the chain, you'll accidentally, or the user, the member, if they're doing it online, can accidentally create a new membership chain instead of upgrading, renewing their previous one. And that actually goes once again back to the question that Lawrence had about the online process, which unfortunately we're not going to have time for today. So this page is really helpful into knowing, does someone already have a chain, and continuing with the next step. So active will show you all the active ones. Inactive will show you ones that have come to an end and can be renewed. And lapsed are those that are, well, dead in the water, as it were. Oh, don't need to renew. I'm not sure why the renew button's right there. Anyway, so what I could do here is I could say, okay, I always do it in that field. I want that field. I could look for Eric and bring up all the Erics. And Eric Juan Clar Chavez currently has an active membership. Now this appears to be a lifetime, so I don't need to do anything. But I could edit it. I could change it to another membership type that creates a new link, or I could transfer it to somebody else, or I could void it, and then that's a different topic. Or let's go to inactive, so that maybe the Eric I was looking for is not currently active, so I'm going to filter for an inactive Eric, which apparently I have no inactive Eric, so apparently I have no membership. Let me see if I can find, let's just filter for all inactives and run from there. So this is going to show me all the memberships that are inactive and can be renewed. Well, let's go ahead and add a membership for myself, because I should probably have one in the system. And we're going to do that with add new member, or we could do that with create invoice. So add new member, This is going to create an invoice and take us directly to the membership tab of invoices. So a bit of a shortcut, not by much, little tiny shortcut. So I'm going to start by saying who the payer is. So the invoice in this case is not necessarily always going to be the person getting the membership. So if this is a gifted membership, so Terry's giving me a membership, the invoice will actually be under her name. There you have it, Terry Bruce. And I will actually it will be gifted to me. Well, let's not do that. Let's just put it under my name. I'm buying for myself, invoice date, create, and all that. And then I select my membership. So if it is going to be gifted to somebody else, then gift. If it's for me, purchase. So let's go ahead and purchase an artist membership. Here I select what my pricing category is. I am an adult, not a student anymore. And now I have the membership screen. So registration date, when does the membership start? If you're renewing, then this is basically kind of like what date should the renewal start on? And will usually be auto-filled for you. I'm going to go ahead and backdate. So let's say this was a year ago. And this is going to give us a membership that's going to start inactive, but we're okay with that because I need the example. Transaction date, this is usually effectively the invoice date. So actually I should have backdated that invoice date. Whatever, let's backdate that. We'll run with it. The type, so I could change it. And then I can assign program or campaign. Membership number is auto-generated, auto-assigned for me. Set for auto-renew requires that I put a credit card on file, and then it will pay automatically. And we saw notices for when there's problems with that. I'm not going to do that right now. The gross cost, the cost after any discounts, validity, so on and so forth. The end date. So per this membership, it ended, since it's 3 months, it will end on 10/6/2015. I can override this and maybe add or remove some extra time. So in a way, this almost could be, you could add a month for free. So it's kind of like you're gifting them an extra month. Or maybe you made a special deal with them, whatever you want to do. And then tax deduction override. So $70 minus the fair market values on the benefits will give us our tax deductible. Maybe we also gave them something else extra and we may need to override. Next, we have our benefits. They can waive them. They could be, you know what, don't give me anything. Just take my money. I'm now a member. I'll see you at the art gallery, or I'll see you on, I'll see you online. So you can waive benefits if you want or not. And then who gets the benefits? Primary member, i.e. the person who gets the membership, or the gifter, the person who paid. Then we have t-shirts, tickets, mugs, and our custom questions. So here, we're getting 2 t-shirts, and they want, the first one is going to be a black t-shirt of a large size, and the second one is going to be a green t-shirt of a medium size. And so you just fill out your custom fields. You can delete benefits if they want to drop, just one of them. This will update your tax deductibility value. And then we have promotions. So promotions are used for cases when the price is not $70 or whatever the default is. Complimentary memberships are when you gift the membership as an organization. So basically you as an organization said, hey, you just gave me $1,000. That is awesome. Have a complimentary membership on the house. So now you get access to our facilities or access to whatever for free. So complimentary is not that someone gifted it for you, it's that you gifted it. Or maybe, hey, you gave us $1,000, you get half off the membership. And so you can do a price override. And then you can give a reason. So I'm not going to do that here. This is available in reports if it's complimentary, and so on. Some people create membership types called complimentary. I don't recommend that. What I would do is use this feature when you're giving memberships to somebody. And then I didn't mention it. There is a custom data set built into the system called the Membership Additional Information Dataset. Any fields you add to that data set will appear here. So these are terrible examples of fields. Don't run with them. I need to clear them out. But you could put other things that aren't part of the application form, but that you might want to track about the membership. I can't think of anything offhand because membership forms cover most of it. But maybe if there is some piece of information that you needed, you could put it here. and that would be in the person's record and against the membership and so on. And then save. So any questions about the fields on this screen? Fair number of fields. Most of them you probably don't need in most circumstances, but the overrides are important, as is complementary. Alrighty, so I'm going to save it. This adds the membership to my invoice. If there's a form, it's going to ask me to fill out the form. There is a form. I already have some of this data from previous fields, so I don't really need to fill anything out. I'm just going to hit save. And now I have all the data on hand. I can review that form from Manage Memberships, and then I just, as if any invoice, receive payment as normal and say how I'm paying for it by check, receive payment, move on. So I'm not going to cover that invoice screen, cover that in financials. Any questions about adding a membership? And it does look like we're going to go about 15 minutes over today, so I do apologize. No? Okay, so let's do renewals. So let's renew this membership now. So Eric is going to renew, and we've got a couple of different ways we can do this. Let's do the one-on-one way of renewing. And this is going to take us to our screen. Well, is it an active membership? We can renew an active membership. If it is currently active, we can renew. Our registration date will just kind of be bumped forward from today for whatever their day after when their end date was. And, that's fine. We like that. We like people to renew before they actually expire. If, however, they have lapsed, I always use that word too, gone to inactive, and their membership has basically been suspended because of lack of payment, then we'll go to inactive and we can pull them up. So we're going to search for Eric. There, he should come up. He's not coming up. Why am I not coming up? Anyway, we'll just grab one, any other one then. Oh, that's why. Anyway, so let's just renew somebody. I'm not sure what I did with my record. So let's see. Let's renew Honda Ozawa. Ozawa. No, it's a void. Rio. Some of you may remember him. Let's go ahead and renew Rio. So he ended on the 1st of this month. So instead of giving him a new membership, which would be a brand new chain, which we would have to do if he was lapsed, we can go ahead and we can renew him. So a couple of options here. Renew, a new link in the chain of the same membership type, same membership level. Change, a new link in the chain, kind of makes the new chain, it's a little strange in reporting, but a different membership type. So you can go from artist to individual, individual to family, or family to artist, or whatever you need to do. Void, by the way, voids the membership. So it says, we do have a record that something happened here, but for whatever reason, we gave the money back and the membership didn't happen. Not too often, but it's there. It leaves a paper trail. And we can also view the history of renewals and edit the membership form. But let's go ahead and renew him. So renew, is this a gift membership? So maybe somebody's gifting his renewal. Let's not do that. Actually, let's do that. I'm going to do it. It's gifted from me, because Rio was a cool kid. Proceed, so it's going to create the invoice under my name, but the membership renewal will be on his record. So there we go. Gift to Rio, membership on the invoice is under my name, and then have all the same fields we had before with the same amounts of overrides and everything we want to do. Same fields, save. Oops, I missed something. There it is. Do a green, medium, save, and membership form, just like we had before. So a renewal or a change is almost effectively the same in terms of process as a initial registration for a membership. The only real big difference is it's continuing a chain as opposed to starting a new one. And I know I'm kind of harping on that a lot, but it's the most common issue I come across with people with memberships. So I want to make sure everybody's golden on that, so that kind of save you the headache when the problems and reports come from that. And then receive payment, everything. So as normal. So in my record, I'll have a check for $50, and Rio will have a renewal for his membership in his record. Any questions about renewals? Make sure I haven't missed any questions in the chat. No, I haven't. Okay. So last two pieces we're going to do are batch renewal, which is really neat, and benefit fulfillment. And then we will be done for the day. So let's go to batch renewal. And basically what batch renewal lets you do is pull up a time period of when memberships ended and renew them kind of in bulk. So not quite the same process flow as, say, batch gift entry, for example, or batch pledge entry, which lets you enter in pledge profiles. But it does let you do something similar in that you can do a bunch at once. So I can say, pull up all the memberships that ended this month, and I'm going to renew those I have letters for. And you could extend the time period or pull up numbers of individual memberships. So this is actually another great place to do renewals from. Maybe even better than the previous screen, depends on your workflow. So let's see here. Okay, Esme Weatherwax and Monte Cristo Elementary are going to renew. They're going to renew it. Esme is going to continue as an adult artist. Her renewal date, we're not going to do any overrides. Payment date, no overrides. She's going to pay by check with a reference number of this. Nothing fancy there. If I did need to do a change, I could do so, and let's actually do that with the elementary. So they're going to go from local school. Actually, let's keep that example. Let's do it this way. Let's have Esme go from to a senior. And are you sure you want to upgrade, downgrade his membership? Okay. And it's going to change. So we have a new link in the chain, but it's a different membership level. So nothing too fancy there. Just had us confirm. But let's say the school has decided to give us, apparently it's a free membership, so they're not going to actually pay anything, but we'll ignore that. So actually, no, we don't need to do anything there. I guess we do. Whatever. Maybe they had a price override. So whatever. Payment, mode of payment, all that. But they can also make a donation in addition to the membership. And what this really does is create a split transaction with the membership and the donation on the invoice in a single payment. Not every organization uses this, but some do. And I'd like to make you aware of it. And this really just kind of does a little drop-down section here, but we're not going to do that right now. And then we go renew selected. It shows us what we did, and then we can go ahead and either remove them if we made a mistake, save, or even cancel. So now we have 2 memberships renewed, financials are recorded, and we're done. Any questions on batch membership renewal? Okay, cool. So our last piece for membership for this webinar is for benefit fulfillment. And I mentioned this earlier that this basically lets you say, yes, they got it, no, they didn't. So for things of the general type, there's not really anything so much to track because those are usually intangibles. Things like access to facilities. So those are actually already going to be listed under your, oh wait, no, those do have to be fulfilled. Excuse me, my apologies. Those you do usually want to fulfill. So we start here with our standard view, which is basically going to give us everything pending. Everything that we have fulfilled, we're going to see under fulfillment history. So if they waived it, no benefit. Otherwise, it's been fulfilled. Let's go back to pending fulfillment, and let's modify the fulfillment histories here. So let's say LeBron here, we gave him his plaque. So we select him, change status, and we can say what that status is. So maybe it's undelivered, no benefit, so we waived it, fulfilled, or in process. So let's say it's been fulfilled. If there's a tracking number involved, a shipment, otherwise change status. So we gave it to him in person. And it will be removed from that list and dropped into fulfillment history. All done. Then we have Nancy Smith here. Now the system handles this one for us. So as we have people, register for events online or we register on the back end, the system will prompt them, hey, you have a free ticket that is applicable here. Would you like to use it? And they can or not. And once they're all gone, this will be fulfilled and popped into fulfillment history. And then we also have things like t-shirts. So maybe this one is in the process. We have a tracking number for it at this point and a shipment date. And once we get the confirmation of that shipment, we shipped it, let's say on the 5th, we'll come back in here and change the status to actually fulfilled. So with this screen, you can track the whole life flow of your benefits getting to the right people. You can also do bulk updates. So I could check all of these. Yes, check all of these, change status. What will be the status change? So here we're not tracking individual tracking numbers and stuff like that and shipment dates, just that the status did change. You are going to update the status on 3. Are you sure? Yes, continue. And those 3 will be updated and fulfilled. And so any questions about benefit fulfillment? Anything at all? This screen is sorted, let's see, the standard sort is by, I think, looks like date. Yes, it appears to be date. With the most recent at the top going backwards. We can also go by membership level. Or we can go by contact. So that's our sorting options here. That was one of the questions. How is this sorted? And then the question is, can you do this from the individual's contact record? Let's find out. I don't believe so, but let's confirm or deny that. Why not? And let's actually take a look at let's use New Rio as our guinea pig here, and let's take a look. I don't believe you can, but I do like. Why not? Let's take a look at what it will look like. Still a good question though. So in terms of membership, what that looks like on the contact record is if they paid, we'll see it under financials. Let's give it a second to load. There we go. Financials. So when he paid for his original membership back in the day. No giving, nothing under giving. Then we have in his engagement history, we'll have things about his premiums and what have you fulfilled. But what we really want is, let's see, where is it for me? Memberships. So this is where we can edit, renew, change, transfer. So we can do all that here, but I don't believe the fulfillment it can be handled from here. But let me double check. Premium fulfillment. So we can see it from here, but we can't actually modify it from here. So your premium fulfillment is all handled from a single screen. So glad we confirmed that. As a reminder, with layout configuration, if your thing is membership, you can move these around and cluster them all like at the top. I never did that, so mine's all scattered. But good question. Let's see. Any other questions? That's a good one. Okay, so that's all I have for today. Obviously, since we did talk about online, there is the online aspect of memberships, which we just don't have time for in this webinar. If you are interested in the online options for membership, go ahead and contact support at fundly.com. Depending on what your interest is, we'll answer any questions you may have or connect you with our implementation team, and we can go through the details of how memberships are handled and what your options are for membership sign up and renewal online. Otherwise, if you are interested in membership reporting, I do have a handful of default reports. It's actually something I'm currently actively working on, is expanding, upgrading, and adding to, I guess it's a form of expanding the membership reports. I'll take a quick second to show you where these are. So default reports, membership reports. This will grow, so if you're watching this after the fact online, you may find that there's a lot more here. Some important ones, the inactive lapsed membership mailing report. So this is going to basically, you can pull up members by when their membership ended, and they are not currently active members. So contact type is ex-member, and end date is within a range, and this will let you pull them up, and you can mail them from there. This will give you your members, currently active members. So I think it's if they have any active membership, and then this looks at memberships themselves as opposed to the member. So this looks at the chain of the membership, and then the transaction report view, which actually looks at the links in that chain. So that's why I was going on about that a little bit earlier. We have members, who are the people who have a membership, at least one. We have membership chains, which are the membership itself. And then we have the transactions or the links in that membership, which would be the individual membership sign up or renewals. So if you ever find that you're looking at a list of memberships and it's more than your list of members, a member could have multiple memberships on their record. That's why sometimes you get discrepancies in those numbers. So I like to make sure people are aware of that. Alrighty. So any questions about anything we covered today before we close up?